in the sport as extremely daring as Sean Baker. Current world champion and holder of Guinness Book records in free fall and speed descent, Sean is widely regarded as the inventor of this sport. So how did he do it?
I'd been whitewater kayaking for a number of years, and I took up extreme kayaking because I really wanted to see how far the sport could go, how far I could push those boundaries, how far I could go with my kayak.
There's no rules and no opponent but nature itself. The aim is simply to find the longest and the toughest waterfalls to ride and then to survive. So how does he do it?
Well, first he has to protect his body. How? With a daunting array of gear designed to cushion the ride, including an extra thick wetsuit, a spine brace for heavy landings, and padding for the knees and the feet. He also wears a rubber tutu called the spray deck, which he fastens to the kayak, keeping the water out and Sean in. On top of his wetsuit goes a waterproof jacket and a buoyancy jacket in case of emergency. Add the final touches of elbow pads, a skull cap to keep the water from his ears, heavy-duty gloves and a motorcycle helmet, and he's ready for action.
Before Sean attempts a new waterfall, he has to plan the safest route to the bottom. How? He sends the kayak down on its own so he can observe the strength and direction of the water. But how did he find a craft that could withstand the pressures this sport demands?
Well, this is my kayak. It's called an Eskimo Topolino. Without it, I just wouldn't be able to do the things that I do. Because it's so tiny, it's highly manoeuvrable. It's got nice rounded ends on it, it's much less likely to jam under rocks. Most importantly for me, it's made from a virtually indestructible type of plastic.
But using such a tiny kayak, Sean often appears like he's at the mercy of the water's immense power. So how does he manage to maintain control and avoid terrifying collisions?
When I'm descending a really steep fall, my biggest enemies are the rocks just hammering towards me. I don't want them to collide with my body, so I'll lean the boat right up on the one side and they'll smash into the hull. Because I'm going so fast, I have to try and slow myself down, and so I can use the paddle blades almost like an anchor against the rocks on one side or the other. This also helps me to steer. It's really the only way I can maintain control on the descent.
But the most critical part of the planning and the journey is the final plunge after free fall, sometimes into pools as little as 5 feet deep. So how does he ensure a safe landing? By throwing his body weight back on impact, he enters the water in a vertical position, literally punching a hole in the water that his body can safely pass through. For Sean Baker, risks like this are almost an everyday affair. But just how far will he go?
The challenge in extreme kayaking just goes on and on for me. I'm looking for bigger and bigger falls, and I haven't found one yet that I won't run. I think the challenge is always there, always will be.
And in meeting that challenge, Sean Baker will always be happy to push his kayak and himself to extremes.